Well, hello there, and welcome once again to About the Albums. Today we're talking about the album Super Cityscape 3D, originally released in February of 2014. In this one, it doesn't really have much of a theme going on. All I really remember for interesting stuff as a blanket thing here is that it was actually done, with I think a lot of it, I think I was trying to do some different stuff with my voice a little bit to see what I could do with it that worked well. And I was trying to use some different instruments and a little bit of different style a bit, but I didn't want to stretch too far to make stuff sound kind of like really weird or really like bad. So it's me trying to kind of like stretch a bit out of there, but out of my comfort zone, out of the usual stuff, but not too far so that it doesn't work, that it feels alienating or just wacky or bad. And I guess we'll see how I did, if I really met that or not. But it's an album, and I believe it's pretty packed full of content. So I don't really have much else to say, other than let's get ready to hear those songs and see if this button on my shirt ever falls off. I don't know if that pool is ever going to be done. One of these days, I guess I probably will just go to put this on to do this, and then I'll look and be like, hey, it's gone now. So if this was the one you picked, you win. But chances are low of that pool existing, and I was going to say even lower, but I said the thing that was the lower chance of happening first, so I kind of fucked my own joke in the dick, so to speak. Super Cityscape 3D. Super Cityscape 3D. Super Cityscape 3D kicks off the album with the title track, the one that it's named for, and what have you. And it's just kind of a song about, the mean streets, this city that's like, oh, it's tough. There's these like terrible people out there that are, actually the stuff sounds pretty crazy. The stuff like people like, beating you up and killing you and robbing you and doing all that bad stuff you think about when you think about the corrupt city streets, places, or just crime-riddled streets or whatever. Kind of cliche stuff, sort of like that. And the idea that also it kind of feeds into this idea of like, as you're there, it kind of gets to you, and like eventually, if you live long enough, you end up becoming the kind of thing that you hate about that place. You end up becoming one of them. So I kind of liked that. I liked the singing of it. I have like a double thing, so it's like me singing twice. And I sang it pretty close on both of them, so I did a good job with that, because I stayed within my vocal range. Was pretty simple, but still like worked well. It didn't sound like crap. And I kind of like the thing where I was like doing the whispering on the Super Cityscape 3D part. I kind of like that too. Some good tones. I like the electric piano thing in there. I like that that's kind of just like, I'm not really like playing a specific thing. I'm just kind of pling around on it and doing different notes around in the background of it and letting those notes linger. I really liked that too. So it's got a neat mood to it. And then like the little like solo-y thing like at the end that for some reason that kind of reminded me of music from Killer Instinct on the Super Nintendo. It reminded me of that a lot for some reason, and I was actually like, I think this just sounds a lot like one of the songs on there. So I was like kind of thumbing through the tracks to find which one. I was like, this must be like kind of almost ripping off one of those, right? And I was listening and I was like, not really. As far as I could tell, like, it doesn't sound, actually that close to one of these like I thought it did. So I just sounded something that like something you would hear on there, I guess. Kind of the sound quality a bit, and the instrument that I was using for that part kind of made it sound like that to me, but maybe that's just me. But that's Super Cityscape 3D. And well, I explained more, but it's going to be in the part where I talk about the artwork anyway, so I mean, when we get there, you'll understand. Just stick around until the end of the video. Or skip ahead to it, I guess, if you don't care about the rest of the stuff. You can always go. You can skip ahead if you can't wait and come back if you want to. Everything's timestamped in the description, so, you do you. And I'll do me.
Red zone, red zone, red zone, red zone. You can't handle, you can't handle.
Red Zone is just a really simple riff that I kind of like, or like two riffs basically that I figured out that I liked the way they sounded a lot. And so I just kind of played those, and then I had like the sing part was pretty simple of like, two syllable things, and then like following up with "you can't handle," and they have like the low voice and the higher voice doing it, and they're basically doing the same notes because that's easier for me to do. I'm not as good at harmonies as I am doing the same notes, so I kind of did those, and the lower voice stayed low and the one part, and the higher voice went high, and they kind of like a little switch at the end of all those. I don't know. It's maybe a little long. It could have been pared down a bit, but so it seems a little repetitive. But I don't know. Yeah, it's just a song that's like pretty came off pretty heavy. It's pretty cool. It's still kind of a catchy song to throw out there, and I don't know. I do still like it. Not a whole lot I could really do to make it better, except for maybe making it shorter, varying it up a little more or something. I don't know. It's pretty much just like, here's the verse things going on, whatever the singing part's going on, and then it's like now here's a solo piece at the thing at the end of it to do a bunch of those, and that's it. But it works. There's nothing really wrong with it. There's just nothing super right with it. There's nothing extra right with it. So it's just directionally challenged. But I guess it's more right than it was left because I didn't leave it behind, or some other clever line. Well, pretend I said a clever line. Maybe I'll put one in post. But that assumes I'm gonna like come up with one and then also not be a lazy fat ass. Where is it going with this? What was I talking about? Oh yeah, fuck me.
It's not much fun. It's just a pity to live in such a place like Sundown City.
Sundown City is about this this city that is very polluted. The idea is that basically you can only see the sun when it's setting or when it's rising, because there's so much smog and pollution up in the air that only when it's like low down you can see it kind of below stuff. That's the only time you can really make it out, and how this place is really unhealthy and it's going to kill you. You're going to die because it's just so awful there. It's kind of a cliche, really polluted, dangerous city to live in, based on a couple of things. We got a prop. So it's primarily, I think I drew this first of that idea. I can get that in the shot really good there. Decently. It's a little glare happening, but this is a picture I drew. It's actually framed for hanging up to display as art. And it's all done in pencil. I did it in art class. There's a small like smudge on the one side of the frame, the right side of the frame here, but you can't see too bad. He's just drawing a bunch of buildings, which I guess makes sense. Super Cityscape 3D building stuff. I kind of like the way the grass works and stuff, but you see like the top's supposed to be like pollution and stuff up there. And also I wrote these lyrics to this song long before I ever made a song out of it. I was like, I did that for a while, but I would write lyrics. I'm like, these would be lyrics for a song, but I never actually had a song to like that I was writing or doing, or like wasn't making the music for it. So this one eventually became a song, and I don't think it's that good, personally. I think it's kind of not that good. I don't think I sang it real well. I hit some weird notes, didn't know where I wanted to go with those, but the musical part of it is okay. Nothing great, but it's okay. So that's Sundown City. A little cliche, an interesting way it came together. So I'm glad I got it, got to talk about it here, because, details. But overall, I guess it could have been a better song. And That would have been the important part on an album, but here we are.
Give to the gods, give to the gods, give to the gods upon the wall.
People of the Gods is about kind of a more tribalistic or kind of like an Egyptian kind of idea of people. Just these people who essentially yeah, kind of like going out and like they're doing it's kind of more tribal, I guess. I don't know. And that they have these gods that they worship. And they're out doing these different things, you know, doing sacrifices to them and whatnot. And then it's like they're kind of devoting everything to these gods. And then the idea that like, I guess in this scenario, this idea that the gods are like actually like real, but then somehow this beast comes back to life and it starts killing them. And it's like the gods are like, well, fuck this, and they're out of there. It could also kind of mean that like, in a more grounded, realistic way, you could look at it as like, oh well, the gods that they pray to aren't protecting them anymore because they think this beast has resurrected itself, but it's probably just a ferocious kind of animal that they haven't seen before, and then they killed it, and then now there's another one somehow, and it seems like the gods aren't helping them defeat it, so they want to find different gods to help them. Yeah, mostly that idea. Like you could do either one of those. You can look at it, you know, as if it's real or interpretation of reality, whatever. But yeah, it has some interesting tones picked for it. I really like the kind of like main driving bass line kind of like tone thing for it. That was done with actually like I originally came up with that riff and I had a song kind of based around that in MTV Music Generator for the PlayStation. You've heard me mention it a few times if you've been watching these in order. But like I figured out how to play that on my keyboard, and so I found a riff that actually sounds really close to, or like a tone that sounded really close to what I used there. So like that was really cool. And so I do kind of like that as like the driving force for it. And so the progression of it made me kind of get that feeling of like almost like tribal Egyptian Aztec kind of something kind of like that ish. And that's why I kind of try to stick to things like I use like strings and like mostly like yeah like strings and like flute things, and I try to kind of stick to those like instruments. There's things that will kind of you might see like you would see more attributed to those things like in a movie or something. I went with that for like the mood, and I think it came out pretty neat. I did try with multiple voices. Again, that thing where it's like if I have a bunch of voices, it'll sound like a bunch of people. Sounds nice. Doesn't really sound quite the way I wanted it to. It sounds decent though. But the thing that really was like turn it around, I think, was like the part that sounds clearly like I wanted to sound a certain way and it didn't, was when I did at the end of it, it's like ha. Everybody says ha. And you can hear me go like ha. And like you can tell I want there to be like a reverb effect on it. I didn't have one on there. I didn't put one on there or anything. So it just sounds like a bunch of people going ha. It's people of the gods. Is getting some interesting stuff already that's not all sounding the same, so that's potentially a good start.
If we're asking all the questions and the answers don't return, if we're getting no suggestions, what are we supposed to learn?
All the questions is just kind of a song about asking stuff like philosophical things, trying to figure stuff out, get to the bottom of things, trying to get answers to stuff stuff you want to know, stuff maybe like if you're not getting answers, like what happens when you're not getting answers that you want or just you need, you're not getting any answers. How are you supposed to grow and continue to think about things and learn things if you can't really find answers to some of these questions? And I also like the song's thing is like it's very quiet. I have like quieter tones, and I sing it even a bit more quietly to go with that, within my range. So that's good. And I do kind of like that it's got like it's still like methodical. It's got like definitely like a progression to it, but it doesn't feel that repetitive because there's lots of little pieces being slowly introduced. So you're like, oh, there's this thing here now, and then like now this thing is new in this spot. It's like here's that and this and that and then that plays and then that plays, and you're kind of like hearing it kind of come together and all the little pieces. I think that's pretty neat. And it's kind of a neat thing to kind of like slow down and like do that. And I like having the songs that have little pieces that slowly come in like that. I feel like I do that sometimes, and I like it. Also, fun fact is I recorded the first part of this. Basically, I missed the record button on the audio part, so I pretty much said all this once, and then I looked over and saw that nothing was recording on the computer. So then I had to hit that again, and instead of confusing myself with the clips, I just have this one big clip now. So, oops. But it's okay. I'll edit that other part out, I hope. Otherwise, this is gonna be weird. Come, fight, run, die is a pretty simplistic idea of just this thing of like, come and fight with us. Otherwise, if you run, you're gonna die. The idea that you have to fight, otherwise you're dead. Kind of a simple thing, almost like along the lines of that tribal mindset idea thing too, but just a really basic thing. That's not even necessarily all that organized. This is almost like a code or something. And this one I thought was actually really interesting. I think it did some interesting stuff with it. Like the main riff that I do throughout that has that cool like breathy, like airy like tone with it, and I had the bass under it to give it some oomph. And that drives a lot of the song. And then like I like that I'm doing the voices. I think there's like 3 or 4 of them or something going through. It might just be 3. I can't remember, but it's like, yeah, I do like that. It's like they're hitting like different notes on certain parts of it, especially like the part I'm saying holding the note of fight. I'm holding that. You can hear it kind of goes like it goes down with the different voices, but some of them stay where they are in certain spots, so it creates like that kind of like harmony with it. I like that. I think that sounds really cool. It worked out pretty well because I'm usually pretty bad with harmonies and stuff like that and making notes work. But it was cool that it was within my range. It still sounded cool. And it's something very different for me to do. And then, like, I like that it, like, has little pieces, like, kind of jumping in the between parts to, like, where you're just, like, hearing the riff again. So it kind of, like, keeps it up and, like, keeps it kind of interesting and kind of, you're still kind of jamming with it. And then after that, it's like a bit of like a solo-y thing, and then it goes again, and then it goes like the end of the song is just jamming out to that, and then the jam up there kind of like breaks down into this other bit, and it gets like the cool like strings and stuff over it, or it's like just the piano and like the string things going in there, and that shift it's just cool. It's a cool like it's just really interesting, and like the way it's like does things a lot differently than I do for a lot of other songs, and again, this is me trying to do stuff that's like trying to stretch and do things that are different that I don't really normally do, but that's not so far that it's going to sound bad or it's going to sound crazy for me to do. I think this is a really good job of stretching into something that I'm capable of doing and still sounds like interesting and not like everything else I do all the time. So specifically, so I like that a lot about it. And even though I don't really like that tone, in general, that breathy, airy tone, I do actually think it works really well here because it gives such a different, like, it's something that I wouldn't normally use, and it gives the song immediately, gives some identity. You hear that tone come in there, and it's like, oh yeah, it's this song. So I like that a lot too. That's pretty neat. And that's Come Fight, Run, Die.
Forbidden love, forbidden love, forbidden love. Your love is forbidden.
Forbidden Love is bad. It's not as bad as a lot of the comments said it was. It got, like, originally when this was up, it got a shitload of bad comments. I think it was probably just posted somewhere and people were like, man, this thing sucks. A lot of negative comments on there, a lot of dislikes on it, but a lot of views because a lot of people had to see it to hate it that much, right? So that was interesting. So it's not as bad as all that, but it's just kind of a thing of like, why can't people love each other? And it's kind of more about the idea that other people are judging that, right? Like, I can't believe you're with this person because of whatever reason, or that these people are a couple that's gross or something, right? Like weird, like superficial shit like that. Um, and maybe it's not sung particularly well, but I stayed within my range. Because one of the comments I remember was like, I can't believe people are trying to like sing like this. I don't know why everyone tries to sing like that. And I don't feel like I tried to sing outside of what my range or anything. I like I made it sound maybe somewhat different, but I wasn't really trying to hit like a popular way of singing. I guess they likened it to something like American Idol or something. I was like, I wasn't really going for that, but okay, that's fine. Um, the piano parts are all right too. I don't know. The music's okay. The drums are kind of interesting in pieces, but for the most part, yeah, it's not too crazy off from what I usually do for stuff. So that's I think another reason why it's still a little bit like kind of whatever, because it's still like it feels like the piano-y pieces and the instruments, and like a lot of it feels like a song I would have already done already. So it's not quite as interesting or as exciting as other stuff on the album. Um, That's it. That is Forbidden Love.
Live until the end, living day by day, live until the end, live to pass away.
NOK is vaguely about mortality and life, that kind of thing. And it's, I mean, mostly just that. I don't know. The title itself, NOK, is just because I keep saying how you're doing something, but instead of having it with the ing, it's like the in apostrophe. So I just called it NOK. For the N at the end, and okay, because the last line of the last chorus I say okay. So that's that, and this is one where it's like I like that it kind of it moves. It does have that kind of that methodic repetition going on, but then like I do like that this is the way it sounds is cool. It doesn't go on too long, and then at the end of it, it kind of like does some interesting stuff with the solo-y things, and then kind of like goes off into like the strings and kind of like slowly goes away. It's interesting to me, the way it kind of plays out in a way that doesn't take too long. It isn't too repetitious. It isn't I don't know. It's not like crazy or anything, but it's not like it's more interesting than just like the same formulaic thing you're expecting every time. It's like slightly different, so that's good enough. And with interesting interesting enough tones being used there. Yeah, I like it. And I think the drum track though, I think was actually a preset. I also think the drum track in People of the Gods, I think that was also a preset. I'm pretty sure that was a preset. I didn't say it there, I'm saying it here, so I don't have to do shit in post. But if anyone ends up asking in the comments later, that's that. In this, yeah, NOK is one also I had a music video up originally where it was just me recording the vocal part basically, but it was like me looking at a piece of paper and just like me singing it, and then like I think there's maybe some visual effects, and I think a few of these songs on here actually had music videos of that where it was just me singing and then some weird effect from Windows Movie Maker put on top of the flat footage of me just sitting there like singing it and whatnot. So, boy, it's a shame those are gone.
Looking out of windows and looking out of doors, looking out at the world. I don't wanna look outside anymore. I don't wanna look at the world.
Looking is one that was actually kind of considered, I think, originally for like this ASMR album that I did called Awesomer, which didn't make a return because most of it was instrumental stuff. A lot of that went down. You know the drill, you know the story by now. But this one also actually uses the same kind of like synth drum set with the synth drum bass notes driving stuff. Kind of like in The Day the Sun Exploded, that whole album. which you also know about because you've been keeping up with every single one of these videos in the series about the albums. And it's just kind of a quieter song. And I guess I don't really even remember exactly why I didn't put it on there. If it just didn't fit, or I wanted to, like, didn't think it was as good. I don't know. Maybe it's because it was really short. It may have been that I thought, like, I wanted kind of like longer ones for the ASMR album, so I didn't put it on there. And it's just kind of vaguely about this idea of, like, I don't want to, like, I just don't want to leave my room. I don't want to, like, go outside. I don't want to, like, deal with people in the world. Just done with it. I just don't feel like doing it. I think it was kind of around that, but it's very open to interpretation by many a noteworthy scholar, and I'm sure at least none of them will do it. And at most, I mean, who knows? But at least, I mean, you can't get less than none. You can't have like unless you were, I don't know, like somehow a qualified idiot. Like, I am a highly decorated idiot, known for my idiocy. And as a grade A idiot, I think the song means that spaghetti is better cold than it is warm. So unless that specific scenario happens, I was right with what I said.
God is hungry. God is hungry. God is hungry.
God is Hungry is about the idea that God is hungry, very, very much so, like it says, and that God is going to take back what he gave us life. He's going to eat the things he created, which is humanity and everything. That's kind of the idea. That he just gave out too much and needs to get some of that back and needs to eat everything. It's kind of a weird, scary concept. Also, I really mention God a lot for someone who's like, I'm an atheist. So let me just let you guys know I'm so atheist that I'm going to mention God in a bunch of ways that aren't very flattering, I guess. That was a thing. I did a lot. And, this one isn't particularly, like, crazy or anything, you know, it's okay, like, got the beat to it, and it's got, like, some okay tones to it. It does feel a bit more like just a song, any other song I would do, kind of. You know, I tried to stretch myself a bit with the solo a little, but a lot of this does come off as another one that's like, yeah, I've kind of done this before, this is a song you'd expect out of me. So it's another one that kind of, like, it fills space on the album. It's fine to listen to as part of an album. You just probably wouldn't go to this by itself and be like, man, I really want to listen to God is Hungry on its own. You know, give me that 10-hour God is Hungry mix. But it's alright. For what I was trying to do, I think I did it. And, I think... Fuck it, that's good enough.
We're gonna take you, we're gonna break you, we're gonna make you see. We're gonna take you, we're gonna break you, make you believe.
We'll make you believe. The believe is in parentheses. I don't know how to say parentheticals without pointing that out. This song is about kind of like a cult, probably a religious cult, but in general a cult where it's like they just want you to be part of the cult. And I kind of like the shift that happens with the lyrics, where you hear the first verse is come along, sing a song, hear what we say, see what we do. And then the chorus goes, and then the second verse is pretty similar, but it just slightly shifts to making it more like demanding and more like you should be part of this. You should be one of us. With come along, sing along, say what we say, do what we do. I like that. There's a clever little thing to do there. It was a good point. I'll give you a point, one gold star to 2014 Sam. I like that. The bass line, I really like the bass line and the guitar part. Playing for the most of the song, that stuff going. Those are pushing the whole song through, and it's like helps it be this really cool jam, because once the verse and chorus things are done, then it's just this really big jam going on. I like that, cool, all that going on. That's a really cool solo. And then the drums are going, doing like a little drum thing at the end of it too, and it's just really catchy, and I don't know, I like it a lot. And then there's also just that weird thing at the end. Like, how's that? It's like, I don't know why I said that. It's just a goofy thing to add in there. Also, the original one of this had a music video as well, where it was just me playing, and then like in the background was me dancing for like over the solo-y part. So big shame that's not up anymore. Me dancing, it's pretty bad. It's me goofing around from the camera. I set it on the keyboard keys, so it's like that height and whatever. And then maybe it was up on here more to catch the audio from the speaker, maybe. I forget. And, I don't know. The other thing I was going to mention is that it's just interesting that this is another one where, again, I'm talking about stuff with God. Being an atheist guy, you think I would probably lay off the God stuff, but you hear it more from someone who is very, I was a very proud atheist at the time. It was very much like, I'm atheist, and I'm not going to go as far as to say you should be too, but I really want you to know that I'm atheist, okay? I want you to know that, because that makes me different than most of the people I've interacted with in my life who were theists. So, I don't know. That was definitely a thing I had for a while. And I've grown out of it. It just kind of comes up when it comes up, which it usually doesn't. Most people don't care. So, that's a fun tidbit for you.
Take it all, please. Take it from me. Take it today. Take it away. Take it all now. Take it all out. Take it, please. Take it, please.
Take it, please. Is another parenthetical. Please is in parentheses. I don't know how to do those. Also, sorry, I'm a little weird, a little flustered here. I once again didn't actually quite hit the record button on the computer, and this time I actually hit stop on the camera. So there's going to be a clip of me going through all that stuff and it not adding up at all, because I fucked it up. But that's okay. I'm used to being a fuck up. This song is just not that good. It's just kind of about having lots of feelings and like emotions and thoughts, and just you want them to be taken away from you. You want them to be taken out of you, away from you. You want them to just be taken out away. And it's just really repetitive. Doesn't really go much of anywhere. I don't do a whole lot with my voice. The solo's okay, but just like that lyrically and like the way it's sung, it's just a lot of it. It could have been a good song. It could have been at least a decent song, and now it's kind of like, Like another one where you don't listen to an album to hear that song, but if you're listening to an album and that song's on it, you're like, well, it's also there. I guess I can listen to that. And I'm noticing there's a lot of songs like that. I make many songs that way. So, the large library, the catalog of songs that I have, it's not really that impressive when you consider that a lot of them are not really worth listening to on their own. And, that makes me feel bad. But that's okay. I'm used to that too.
We don't get second chances. We don't get second chances.
There, make sure it's fucking recording this time. Second Chances is the final song on the album, and it's just this idea of actually the idea that we don't get second chances, and it's kind of a lot of that is like tied to it's tied to a number of things. I think like the biggest one is really tied to is like life. You don't really get a second chance at life, Um, but I think some of it may have been slightly tied to other things too, like just like messing up on some things. Like you won't get a second chance at it. But it's kind of almost like weird, like happy, hopeful kind of song, and I like the way it like kind of like builds and adds to the instruments and stuff. And I do like that, like the horn and the clarinet thing, like working with each other, and like the just the different like tones I used on it. I don't know, it is actually a pretty interesting little song for like a short thing. And I think I sang decently well considering it is kind of a bit out of my range, a little. Like I'm obviously straining a bit to like hit those notes like that, but I think I have a, for me anyways, a decent amount of power behind them for the and hitting the notes correctly. That was good. And I guess like having a sort of like positive spin on this, to kind of like end the album is nice. It's a song that yeah, it just gives me kind of a nice feeling, even though it's maybe not amazing or anything. It's kind of nice. And that's the album. That's Super Cityscape 3D. And boy, I actually still I do like this one. It's got a lot of interesting different things on it. It's got a nice little mix of stuff. Um, it's me trying new things, doing some old things, and just I'm trying to be a little bit different, a little bit interesting. And I think I did a good job of trying to stretch myself some without stretching too far. Um, and overall, it's decent. I don't know. What do you guys think? And did you have any questions or anything like for stuff I didn't bring up maybe or about any of this stuff? Go ahead and you can leave that in the comments. I'll try to answer that stuff as best I can. There's gonna be timestamps in the descriptions and everything, so like you can go there. I guess I should mention that at the beginning. I keep forgetting that I'm supposed to do that. There are timestamps to all the songs and whatever if you want to like go check that out. There's links in the description to all the full songs too to hear the whole thing, and the playlist of the album is there. So check out whatever, like, dislike, comment, delete your comment, subscribe, unsubscribe. You got options. You got options. You've got options. So, thanks for watching, and hanging out and listening and all that stuff. We got some more on the way, so, look forward to that, look backward to that, look to your left, to your right, look any direction spatially that you wish in order to see the next one of these coming your way, because who knows? I mean, in space, you could be coming from anywhere. I don't think that's not a, I shouldn't say that. It sounds like a lead-in, like, is it going to be a space album? I don't think it is, but, boy, that would have been a cool line if it was. Pretty sure it's not. Bye. So the artwork for Super Cityscape 3D is it's actually it's pretty interesting here. This is one I made originally in MS Paint. I think I was just bored one day in class in like high school, and I was like making it. Or maybe it was like at a lunch break or some kind of break or some shit in the computer lab, I think. But I just had all these like buildings because I kind of knew how to make it. And I was like, I'll just make it look like buildings are just jammed up against each other and have like the windows and stuff. And like it was like a nighttime sky, and like some of the buildings were like lit up and stuff. And or maybe it was a daytime. I think it was like a daytime one, a nighttime one, and all the buildings are just different colors and stuff. And for the album art, all I did really was take that and invert it, and I thought that looked really cool. So I used that as the album art. And so to clean it up, I just kind of like went back over some of the lines in here. I think it was actually a lot of these I had to go back over so it would be really sharp and pixelated again. So I did that, looks like. And I had the text on there that I added because originally I didn't have the text on it, but I just put it as a font. So it's like that's got some weird, edges on some of those. But it's kind of neat. I like that I actually made this whole thing from like scratch and paint, and there's like some details and stuff on it. And inverting it made it look really cool. I don't know. It was it came off neat. So that's really the only reason this is called Super Cityscape 3D. Because I made this, and I think originally I may have had it hyphenated, but I don't actually completely remember. So don't quote me on that part, but it's a neat cover to me.
answer is never.